going to do a walkthrough of Mysterium 2015's Escape the Age game. We are going to pretend that they and I are our illustrious team trying to solve the puzzle, except I'm going to tell them all the answers. So let's go. In here is a linking door that leads from Todelmer to another age. Well, this pod doesn't have much life support, so it's very hot. Inside the pod, we find several things. Over here is a board game with a whole bunch of strange-looking pieces. Next to it is a journal from someone named Dimitri. There's a note and something talking about turns. There are some drawings from a child, most of which are red herrings. There are more drawings over here. Someone named Sarah. There is a map. There is another journal from someone named Nicole, though it doesn't say it on the journal, but her name is Nicole. A late addition to the game is these notes on the floor, so-called pressure plates. They weren't there, and then they were there without a symbol, and people thought the hotel put them there, so then we put a power symbol to match what's on that monitor over there, which is playing Deep Space Nine ambient sounds. Over here we have a box that players were told was supposed to be a lockbox until it didn't work, and so they were supposed to play until the blue light lit up. Over here we have another box with a bunch of buttons and a knob and some stuff. Monitor, box with lots of buttons. Stop that. And for some reason, someone was walking around the room and the lights turned on in the box. I wonder why that could be. We have another box with a bunch of sliders and a big old padlock and a thing that says danger, Will Robinson. So, the first step is to discover that standing on these puts you in front of sensors. And turning around the camera to look at that box. Now it's blue. Now it's blue there. This one makes it green. Over here, so they're all red. The premise is that and they're all controlled by wireless chips. So sometimes there's a bit of a delay between when they actually work. The premise is that to turn on the power, you have to have multiple people in the pod as a safety feature, and so you have to stand in spots by the power conduits. And so you have to get all three of those LEDs the same color. If you stand in front of two sensors that control the same LED and make it a different color, it won't turn on, which some people were thrown by. So we go over to the game over here. In these journals are descriptions of the game in various vague terms. And people had to learn the rules of the game. No one actually did learn the rules of the game, I will point out. Where's my blue folder? It was in here. We are going to cheat. This note over here about multiple turns. Once people figured out the rules of the game, they were supposed to then use those hints to take turns and figure out how to win the game. The win state was this. This game is called Eily. It is dreadfully complicated. Dreadfully complicated. You will notice that there are black and white markings on the pieces and on the game board. So when they get it to this win state, which is a stalemate between the two actual players, but they are told that while it is a stalemate, white has actually won, and they do, from that, they can infer that these are, they follow the white and get a dunny number. So here's a 1, here is a 3 and a 15, so that's 18. And then here is a 20 and 2, so it's 22. And there are scratches in the board to help indicate the way these go. Then they have to convert that to base 10, which is 1097. Of that, and come over here and unlock that. Unless they're one team who picked the padlock. Unlike Back to the Future, this one does not tell you where you're going, this one does not tell you where you are, this one does not tell you where you were. So now we need to power them up, and the way you do that is by having people stand in front of the proper sensors. So in this case, we need blue sensors. So try that one. That's blue. Find one over there. That's blue. And here, it's blue. Green light turns on, indicating we can power up the console. So we hit the button, and the console turns on, and then the tape comes off the floor. But now we don't know what coordinates we need to set. This is currently flashing. If we hit it, it moves the pod, it stops flashing. If we change the coordinates, it starts flashing again. I'm not there yet. We have dummy number displays hooked to sliders. They're a little, sometimes they don't quite work properly, but that's okay. It's old technology, right? But now we don't know where to send the pod. There's another control panel they can turn on. This one needs green, so do the other two sensors. You can stand here. We just lost yours. Yeah, turn that one on, and we find that a washed out, very sunny view. This Atris named this age Sunblind before the DRC found it, and they never found a real name for it. Atris discovered this book in Dunny. It was not one of his books. This pod was, as you find from the journals and from something I'll show in a moment, this pod was built by the Denis for research, but was also apparently, for some reason, manned by another race who made the Eiley game. We find that there are recordings of birds, and some static, and some wind.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, well, and also,
it seems as though this device was used by the researchers in this pod for recording the calls of local wildlife, but Catherine has encouraged me to use it as a sort of audio journal. Secretly, I suspect she believes that I'll return home from one of my expeditions having forgotten how to talk, and wants me to keep it practice. I admit that sometimes after long periods of life.
So we got Rand to record audio as Atris, giving hints, giving backstory, and also in a few cases.
The name of this age is thus far unknown, but until I discover its true name, I've taken to calling it Sunblind, as fitting a name as any. I spend half my days with my back to the window, shading my eyes with an ever-tiring hand. But after the sun has passed over the pod, and its light is no longer so direct, the most breathtaking moon becomes visible over the horizon. I find I cannot stop staring at it, my eyes perhaps hungry to at last see this age's beauty without speaking. I have made little progress in using the pod's navigation controls. I've tried moving the sliders, but my efforts seem to be quite futile. Perhaps I need to adjust the phase.
bird sounds had something to do with something, it did not. They were just for flavor. That's nice. And the system crashes. So we're partially running this on Unity. Unity was supposed to be running the entire thing, but it didn't. That wasn't working well. So now one of the Arduinos in these boxes runs the entire thing, and Unity just sort of sits in the background. Okay, turn some junk things, and try it now. Okay, good. Now it's working. We had some technical difficulties throughout the weekend. This is kind of jury-rigged. So we're going to move along. We'll release those recordings online with the rest of the everything. So from the recordings and the journals, you discover various things about sunblind. For instance, there's this horrid sun that just beats in your eyes all the time through a viewing screen. Except once the sun passes over the pod, which Acerus describes, this breathtaking moon comes out, and you can stop shielding your eyes, and it's really fantastic. From the journals, you discover that these two researchers with the DRC were not really getting along. One was very, he liked the Eiley game, and he liked the anthropological part of all of this, and the other one was very technically minded. So Dimitri tried to force Nicole to learn Eiley by padlocking the board and putting that the solution on the Eiley game. Then, while Nicole was in here, while Dimitri was on a sabbatical, she brought her daughter with her to help her with the sensors, and because she wanted her daughter to experience life and so forth. And one day, while her daughter was sitting drawing the view out the window, a giant bird came and crashed through the window, causing the linking book back to Todelmer to fall out. They thankfully had Relto books at the time. This was back in 2012. There were, of course, no more Relto books left in the cleft. And so they were able to link out safely, and they came back and did some cleanup. They boarded up the window. That's why it isn't horribly sunny in here. Yay. So from this drawing and all of that, you can infer the following. These two peaks are roughly the same height. So looking at the map, you need to find two peaks that are at the same heights and that are near each other. So these two are near each other, these two are near each other, these two are near each other, but they aren't at the same heights. This is yellow, this is white. There are multiple peaks here. These two are the same height. You find out in the journals the pod always points west, and you assume that this is north, south, east, west. And then you find out from Aegis' journal, or no, you find out from the journal talking about when her child was drawing it that it was just about midday. You know that the moon is in the picture because it's blue and it says moon, and it's 4-year-old handwriting. So therefore you know from this sun diagram that around midday the sun is highest above this area. So since it was just before midday, the sun is more over here. The sun is past the pod because you can see the moon. The pod faces this way, so it has to be right here. That gives you a pair of coordinates, 8, 0, and 1, 23. So if we turn the navigation console back on, we need a blue over here. Maybe, I don't know, we're gonna guess. Yay! Okay. 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 0, and what was it? 123. 123. Stay. Stop it. Okay, it's in position. So now we turn this console off by hitting the button again. we turn the green ones on. Now we discover that instead of, depending, if you moved the pod to the wrong places, you got a variety of different washed out images. This one happens to be in just the right position where you can pan and zoom into a picture of the linking book that fell out and a note that says, retrieval arm, end of turn 4, contemplate the void. The Ka, K-A-H, is a type of piece in the Eiley game. There are multiple turns, so what you have to do is go back to the board from the beginning and play the game up to the end of turn 4. I'm not going to do that, but it looks like this. From there, you know that you should only be using the Ka. Turn this off. Someone will stand in front of the retrieval arm. In the journals, you discover that Nicole said that she was unable to get the retrieval arm working for some reason. There was some sort of power problem. And she eventually discovers a way to use the manual power routing controls, as seen here, to route power to that console. And because she's fed up with Dimitri and his stupid game to get her to be able to use the navigation console, she does the same thing back to him to tell him how to control this. So we turn on the ones that correspond to the proper things. We hit the power button. Power button again. Technically, there we go. Light turns on. Come over here. Let go. This is where the biggest technical difficulties happened. This should be red, meaning it's locked, so if we hit it, it'll now turn red, and if we hit it again, it would attempt to unlock, except that the servo didn't quite work properly. Now the whole game is frozen. That is the game. And then you would theoretically, the linking book did not fit in the box it was supposed to fit in, but you would have found the linking book back to Todelmer with beautiful LEDs in them.
That's cool. So that's his PPA.
Yes, and so as a quick run through, the lockbox had an Arduino Pro in it with a pair of LEDs and a button and a servo very poorly glued to the box because there's no other way to hold it. The viewer console had, and that also had a sensor built into it. The sensors detect distance, and that's how that worked. There were sliding potentiometers, a rotary potentiometer, a bunch of buttons, another Arduino Pro, which was running basically the entire operation, and then a pair of 7x10 LED matrices being run off of a backpack board that controls them and lets us do the dummy numbers. We'll take the power console for last. The navigation console has 4 sliders, 4 of those boards, an Arduino, not Pro, it's one of the older, I don't know how you pronounce it, Arduino Melanov, a large button, and sort of other things to make it work, and also a nice thing that's designed for locking light switches, with some bits cut out. We look under this table. Might need a flashlight. We'll see there are 2 sensors, one on either side, taped to it, running off of 4 AA batteries and another Arduino Pro, and a whole bunch of sketchy wiring. Over on this side, we have the same thing, except they run off of power because it wasn't in the middle of the room. And then finally, if we look at the power console. Big Bertha. There is a nest of wires wires that it's no fun to debug if something breaks. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you escape the